Hello everyone, with the Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the Caribbean. It is Thursday evening, January 12th, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Also, feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any other related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. I respond to all comments and I really live for this stuff. Alright, so let's just take a look at the significant feature map across the Atlantic for this evening. We can see that we have a high pressure ridge right there across portions of northeastern sections of the North Atlantic, sending a lot of easterly winds all the way from Africa across the main development region into sections of the Caribbean. We can see right there that line associated with the ITCZ, that's the Intertropical Convergence Zone, which is where all of the air from the North Atlantic meets the air from the South Atlantic and forms a lot of clouds, showers and thunderstorms. We can see two lines right here to the east of Puerto Rico associated with a trough, and to the north of that trough we can see two more lines associated with two cold fronts stretching all the way up into the northern portion of the North Atlantic. And if we actually take a look at the satellite images, we can see the clouds, the line of clouds that is associated with those cold fronts to the north of that trough, affecting portions of the US Virgin Islands and the British Virgin Islands as well as Puerto Rico. We can also see these low-level clouds being pushed from east to west by that high pressure ridge. And if we actually take a look right there in between South America and Africa, all of those line of clouds, that build up of cloud cover thunderstorms associated with the Intertropical Convergence Zone, just as mentioned. Alright, so let us bring our focus to what was predicted yesterday across Jamaica. It was stated that on the morning of Thursday, January 12th, this morning, we would have received some amount of rainfall across portions of northern and eastern Jamaica. Then, in the afternoon, we would have received some rainfall across portions of eastern, central, and western Jamaica. What ended up happening? A post was made at 5:05 a.m. highlighting some amount of clouds coming into portions of northern Jamaica, and this continued all the way up into mid-morning this morning. Even up to 10 a.m. northern parishes were still getting in on some amount of rainfall. Then in the afternoon hours, this post was made at 3:56 p.m. We got a good amount of buildup of clouds across mainly southern Jamaica in the afternoon, as well as inland areas of some northern parishes, bringing some amount of overcast skies and isolated showers to the area. And if we actually take a look at the actual satellite images, we can see that yes, we had a buildup of clouds, especially across portions of northern sections of southern Jamaica. So northern St. Andrew, northern St. Catherine, northern Clarendon, northern Manchester, northern St. Elizabeth, southern St. James, southern Trelawney got in on some amount of overcast skies and showers. And if you actually take a look at the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website showing all the rainfall that we had from morning up until now, it shows that yes, we had some rainfall across portions of northern Jamaica this morning as indicated by these purples. So portions of St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland got in on some of that rainfall. Then in the afternoon, the very areas that were just seen on satellite images is what got in on some of the rainfall. So western Jamaica, Westmoreland, inland areas of St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine and St. Andrew got in on some of that afternoon rainfall. Alright, so let us talk temperatures across the island for this evening. We can see that we have 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay and 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston. And if you'd like, you can pause this video right now and look at your specific area for what the temperatures are like right now. As it relates to the forecasted temperatures for tomorrow, this map is showing 18Z on Friday. That's actually 1 p.m. on Friday on both the Euro and the GFS. And there are no colors across Jamaica. We're in the zeros, we're in the average temperatures. And what are the average temperatures for the month of January across Jamaica? 86 degrees Fahrenheit. And when we actually look at the thermometer and calculate that, that's about 30 degrees Celsius. So that's the temperatures that we're going to be expected to receive tomorrow. Alright, so let's just take a look at the Saharan air layer map. Don't be fooled, all of these oranges and yellows across portions of the Gulf of Mexico and Jamaica are not Saharan dust. They're actually dry air. The actual Saharan dust is right here across portions of the Eastern Caribbean and the main development region. So yes, there's a lot of dry air across portions of the Caribbean. The blues that we see is actually moist air, so where a lot of rainfall is bound to be, that is the blues that we see right there. These are the actual Saharan dust maps. So this map is showing 2 p.m. on Friday. We can see a lot of brown stretching all the way from Africa all the way to portions of South America. So at 2 p.m. on Friday, this is where we shall see all of this dust along with hazy skies. So portions of the Windward Islands, sections of especially Trinidad, sections of Guyana, Suriname, and French Guiana might get in on some of that Saharan dust. Alright, so let's just talk about wind forecast for tomorrow. There won't be much of any form of wind across the island tomorrow, especially considering the approach of that cold front that is coming in. If we look at the Euro and the GFS, basically up to 5 knot winds are what are expected across the island. But these little winds that we will have tomorrow, where do all of this pile up? It looks to be piling up across portions of northern Jamaica where we have the darkest blues. That is where we have the least amount of wind. And if we have all of that air piling up across northern Jamaica, and with the wind shear coming in more from the west southwest across the island on both the Euro and the GFS at 1 p.m. tomorrow, there might be a bias for more of the afternoon convection across portions of northern Jamaica, build-up of clouds by the low-level wind across northern Jamaica, and then the wind shear pushing off all of the high level cloud tops, upper level cloud tops towards the east northeast. So any rainfall that should develop would be biased along portions of northern Jamaica. Let us see what the precipitation forecast for tomorrow shows. So the Euro and the GFS model are showing some amount of blues across, well, surrounding the entire island, some of which are touching portions of northern Jamaica at 3 a.m. on about the Euro and the GFS. So we shall see what happens with that. Might even spill into about 6 a.m. time as well. Then look at 3 p.m. Lots of blues across the island, especially northern Jamaica on the Euro and the GFS. That's 3 p.m. on both maps, and we know that when we have consensus like this, the chance of it actually happening are much higher. Look at even 5 p.m. Lots of blues across, even spilling into portions of southern Jamaica on both maps. So we shall see what happens with that. If you live on the north coast, please ensure that you bring your umbrella with you. We actually take a look at the accumulated precipitation forecast. These maps are showing all the rainfall that's expected across Jamaica from now until 3 on Saturday. That's actually 10 p.m. on Friday. So all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Friday. We can see that yes, there's a bias towards the north coast on both maps. So please ensure that you're prepared for all that rain. So those areas such as Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, get ready for that rainfall. Not to say that some of this rainfall can't spill into portions of southern Jamaica, but the bias will be towards northern Jamaica tomorrow. So we shall see what really unfolds. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on what is happening across the rest of the Caribbean. Yes, we can see some amount of clouds coming into portions of Guyana, French Guiana, Suriname as usual. We can see some amount of clouds across portions of Nicaragua, Honduras. We can see some clouds across portions of the Turks and Caicos as well as northern Hispaniola as well as portions of Puerto Rico. And if we actually take a look at the Doppler radar images, we know that Doppler radar images show the actual rainfall as opposed to satellite images that show cloud cover, and we can see a lot of scattered showers in and around sections of Puerto Rico and the US Virgin Islands at this time. We can also see some amount of scattered showers across portions of Guadeloupe, St. John's as well. And if we actually take a look at the Barbados radar, we can see a lot of rainfall to the north, south, east and west of that island as well, not to mention sections of west of there, so portions of St. Vincent, St. Lucia might have been getting in on some of that rainfall as well. And if we actually take a look at the wider view, we can see that yes, those greens that we have right there across portions of Guyana and Suriname represent some amount of rainfall there, just as seen on satellite images as well. Alright, so let us take a look at what's predicted In terms of the Saharan dust, we can see that yes, most of the Saharan dust will be off to the south, so portions of southern Trinidad, sections of eastern Venezuela, portions of Guyana, portions of Suriname, and French Guiana will be getting in on those Saharan dust forecasts, so they might get in on some amount of hazy weather tomorrow as well. If we actually take a look at the wind forecast for tomorrow, yes, lots of easterly winds coming into portions of the Caribbean, all courtesy of that high pressure ridge on both the Euro and the GFS. This map is showing 12 p.m. on Friday. But look in the Gulf of Mexico, we can see a lot of northerly and northwesterly winds, strong winds at that, up to 30 knot winds associated with that cold front. Lots of dry air, but windy and cool weather coming down with that cold front tomorrow. So that's its position on Friday, and it shall be getting closer to portion of the Central Caribbean as the weekend progresses. Alright, so let us talk about the precipitation forecast. All the rainfall that's expected from now up until 3Z on Saturday. When we calculate that, that's about from now up until 10 p.m. on Friday. So we can see lots of rainfall in the forecast, even up to 1 inch of rainfall across portions of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, portions of the northern portions of Hispaniola, northern Jamaica, portions of Puerto Rico as well. We can also see some amount of grains that represent up to at least 0.25 of an inch of rainfall across portions of Guadeloupe and Martinique. And if you actually scroll down, we can see that yes, Guyana is going to be getting in on some more rainfall, portions of Colombia and western Venezuela, portions of Panama, Costa Rica. Not so much for Nicaragua, but Honduras might get in on some of that rainfall, up to maybe 0.5 of an inch of rainfall. And if we actually take a look at the GFS model, we can see that there's consensus in the very areas that were just mentioned. So the Bahamas, maybe eastern Cuba, Turks and Caicos, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, Guadeloupe, Martinique, the same very areas. Guyana, Suriname, Colombia, western Venezuela, Panama, Costa Rica, portions of Honduras, and maybe even Nicaragua getting in on some of that. And if we actually take a look at the western portion of the basin, if we look at western Florida, we might be getting in on some rainfall, all courtesy of that cold front. You can also see some amount of reds and even purples in there that indicate up to even 2 inches of rainfall on both the Euro and the GFS. That shows some amount of rainfall for portions of Mexico. You can also see some amount of rainfall up to maybe half an inch of rainfall across portions of Honduras and maybe southern Belize as well. And we know that when we have consensus on both maps like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.